Okay.
So now it looks like you have a empty
Blank screen.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you have to be a little careful because if you just swipe this way, it'll kind of cancel out what your thumb's doing.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So the idea is basically these apps, you have one in your pocket, you can hand it to them, take it back. When you put it on your phone, if you have a white iPhone, you can see it already right there. And you actually want to make sure it's kind of in the same orientation that the actual app is.
Yeah.
So just, like that. And then you can do your, thing with the coin where you can kind of make it look like it's moving around in the screen.
That's cool.
And if you can get it to that kind of area that it's going to be appearing under the screen in, then that's perfect. You just
Can
get
you
it right there.
let go of your thumb so they can see the general
Yeah,
idea?
it's right there. So you
Right.
kind of want to get that
Around the
top
same
corner
spot, right?
area, right?
Sure.
So we've got it pretty good actually right there. And now you can just take one finger, and if you want to lick your finger, you can, but the plastic should stick to your finger. If you just give it a little press, and at the same time you let go of your thumb, that app looks like it kind of jumps into the screen like
Wow,
that.
that's beautiful.
And now it's still underneath my finger here. Right? So I can still kind of, but I like to convince them that it's in there now. I can move it around and it's really in there. And now this finger can just kind of go away. I can either just make a fist and
great.
bring it away, or I can, in the performance I just did, I kind of oops, there we go. I just went around I picked it up and then I went around the phone with it.
Right.
I was holding on to it. But so either way, you just get rid of that app that's stuck to your finger, and now you've got a real app under the screen.
That's great.
Where it should be.
And I love the fact that you can actually move that back to the spot.
Yeah, then
afterwards
if
and all
you,
that.
totally. Then you
It's a
just
nice-
hold it for a second, bring it
Yeah.
back to where it's supposed to be.
That's a nice.
Press your
convincer.
button,
Yeah, that's
and
great.
voila.
Great.
Yeah.
Cool. So
cool.
that's Capture because it's with an app.
Yeah.
So now you know why the
Clever.
cheeky name. And like I said, you get all these other apps. So if you don't want to do the phone app, you can use any of the other ones that are supplied.
Yeah.
And you've got a really fun thing to do. And I would just say, in a pretty obvious way, that you probably wouldn't want to do Capture and this together because
Right.
they might think, well,
Good point.
if he's just putting the app into the phone, maybe the coin was just an app
Similar kind of
Gimmick.
plastic, something,
Right,
right?
right.
as
Exactly.
well. So it might not be the best idea to do both at the same time, but you have something really organic and fun here that you can have set up on your phone and ready to do pretty much at any time. All right, so you learned how to put a coin in a phone. You learned how to put an app in the phone. Learned a lot of great handlings to do Capture and a lot of fun stuff. And that's the cool thing here. You've got something you can do with someone else's phone, something you can do with your own phone.
Yeah.
And we want to give you a few extra thoughts and ideas because the phone that you're using, you might want to have it set up a certain way so that certain things don't happen. And this was actually something Mark suggested. If you want to show them, we actually did this for the DVD shoot. So we'll go to the overhead here. You actually see in the top right corner, it's like a little circle there, like a little lock on it. What that's done is you've actually locked the screen.
The orientation of the screen.
The orientation,
This usually only applies for iPhones and iPod touches and stuff
Yeah.
like that. But basically, what we're talking about here is if you just go with overhead shots, I'll show you what I mean. Sometimes a phone, especially the iPhone, will when the orientation is moved around in my hand, the orientation of the screen will change. You see that? And that there's movement going on with the phone, certain things happening, and that might disorient what you're doing as well as
Yeah.
confuse people and take away from the effect at hand.
Could disrupt the routine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And what I do here, and all I'm going to do here is with the home screen, I'm just double pressing the home screen, and it gives you the apps that you have open. If I swipe to the right, it's actually just swipe my finger right ways. You can see there's a little app right there. There's a little tiny icon. If you click that, you're actually taking the portrait orientation and you're leaving it one way. So now, no matter how I turn the phone's not going to change orientation. So now that when I have an open page open, like so, web page open, you'll see that this won't move at all, and it keeps everything nice and in order.
Nice.
And that's just it's just something that I realized when we were playing with Capture and a couple of the things, and it's not necessarily a big deal, but it's something that matters in my opinion. So if you can have someone else's phone, you can do it for them. That's cool. If they already have it, great. But that's just one little idea with an iPhone. Not necessarily a Droid phone will have to be something to worry about.
Right. No, I think it's a great idea, especially if you know you're going to do this with your phone. I would highly suggest you lock your screen so you don't have that problem.
Right.
It's not a huge issue if you borrow someone's phone. I wouldn't be that worried about it, but if you want to give that extra little bit of comfort when you're practicing this,
Right, exactly.
I would definitely recommend locking up your phone so that it doesn't move around. I think that's a great, very good idea.
Another thing I thought about too which is when you're performing this when it's with someone else's phone, there's always the potential of the phone ringing while this is happening, or something happening, and it actually happened to Luke before. His wife called, and that will happen. So one thought that I had, which was if you can take someone's phone and either tell them to put it on airplane mode, and that's just an idea, so that when you're actually doing the trick, it's a 30-second trick. So to them, they won't mind that their phone is not being used for 30 seconds because it's in your hand anyway. So you do the trick, give it back, and they can turn it back off onto airplane mode.
Sure.
Not necessarily always a big deal, but you want to be ready for everything. So that was just one other thought as well.
Yeah.
I had one thing too that I kind of forgot to mention was that when you set it up for the capture effect, where you want the screen to be blank, white as the background. So most people have like cool pictures and stuff like that. You actually want to make sure that you set it to blank. So you can like take that Safari page, that empty page, and here, I'll show you guys. If you do like a snapshot of the screen, you can actually, there we go. Do we have an overhead shot of this?
There we go.
Yeah.
Overhead.
This is really, really simple, but you just basically snapshot your screen. So you hold this button down and then tap this button. So you kind of go 1, 2, and it takes a picture. And now you can go to your photo app here and go to the first picture that you just took, the last one, and it's white in the center, but what you do is you just scroll, make it bigger.
Sure.
Take one more picture, right? And then you go to your last picture that you just took that's all white now, and you can say
Set that as your wallpaper.
Set as the wallpaper, right?
Okay.
Exactly. Set.
So you want a solid,
set both.
and the reason for that is because of the hidden scrolling that's happening.
Yeah.
If you have a background that's got busy stuff going on, you're going to see the shift in the screen when it's secretly
and also
coming into
with
play.
the white, like for your coin, you
Shows up.
can see it better. Yeah. So it's really, it looks really official that it's either on top or underneath. It looks the same. So.
Great. I'm glad you mentioned that. Yeah, because that's important not only to hide the action, but also so that it shows up better on the screen. Right. Something else that Jesse did that reminded me, I wanted to share with you guys too, that if you decide to do capture with, let's say, a penny, or one of the other smaller coins from one of the other countries, another handling that you can do, and it won't work so well with a quarter, but we'll jump to the overhead one more time here. If you place the coin and the gimmick together, as Mark taught you earlier, you want to secretly borrow the coin and put it on top of your gimmick, and you place both onto the screen. You can talk about how, like, if you touch a computer screen and you push up against it, it'll kind of leave that little haze on the screen. And if you do the same thing with a coin, with a penny, what you can do is if you push your thumb down on the penny, it'll stick to your thumb, and then this will be left on the screen. So instead of pushing the coin into the screen, where this shows up, you can actually put both onto your screen with a penny, even if you want to put a little wax on the top of the penny.
That's good.
So when you push down, it'll stick to your thumb.
Yeah, and your thumb hides that whole coin.
Yeah, because it's such a small coin.
Right.
You push down on the penny with your finger, it'll stick to your finger, and you can come up with a very nice display, and it looks like you're actually pushing the coin into
like
your
an
phone.
impression into the screen itself.
Yeah,
That's great.
And then you can do one of your
And then it
other,
comes alive.
and then you can do one of your other things where you pull it back out, and then you're clean again. So that's just another thought as far as getting the coin into the phone in a visual way. And I thought of it because Jesse was moving his around with his finger, and he covered it to get it out of there. So you can do that with
Makes a
the
lot of
capture
sense.
effect as well. Yeah. So
one other thing I was thinking as well was we talked about how you can, I guess, hold on to your gimmicks and stuff like, when you want to carry it around, because you don't necessarily want this stuff floating in your pocket. I mean,
they're easy to lose. Yeah,
they are easy to lose, and they are easy to get mixed up with a lot of your stuff. One thought that I had was the envelope that you get. If you just have your perforated coins as well as the apps inside there, if you can have that in your wallet. If it's all on the bottom, you can fold the envelope over so that it's in there. That's one idea too.
I like this next idea a lot, actually. This is smart.
Also, well, there's also, you can put it, let's say, with your credit cards, stuff like that, in those plastic slots, picture slots.
Yeah.
But I noticed that, which Luke and Jesse and myself included, we don't necessarily have covers on our phones right now, but that is something that people do have. And if you use your own covers, if you have a cover that is really tight to your phone, you could actually put that capture and capture the icon, the little things inside of the
It's storage, yeah.
storage basically
great.
inside there. So there's really no way you can lose it because it's with your phone at all times, and all you need to do is pop it off secretly, get them out, put it back in, and then you can do whatever you need to do. And that's a great thing because it's like you're always ready to do a great effect.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And I guess one last tip, because I'm looking at my gimmick. If you want to, and this was actually an idea from Jesse. I think this was something that you mentioned to me. It might have been Mark. Where if you're having trouble getting the gimmick to slide on the phone, because sometimes when you push the gimmick onto the phone so that you can get it, it won't move around as easy. It might not stick, but it might get caught up.
Yeah.
If you take your gimmick and you bend it a little bit, it kind of has that little raised edge so that the coin, well, the gimmick will slide around easier on the screen because it's not just flat
Great
against the
point.
screen.
It's just kind of on the edge of
That was probably. It's a good idea. So it was Jesse's idea. So.
I'll
So
take full credit.
but I wouldn't bend the whole thing in half because you're committing to the fold, and then you're left with a.
Yeah, you don't want any. You don't want any perforations or any kind of scores. You literally. It's almost like taking this, like the plastic right here, and if I just give it a little bit of a concave bend, you can see now instead of being flat, it's a little raised, and now that. You can see it'll not spin, but it'll have some smoothness and movement to it. Where if this was completely flat, like so, this won't really want to move as much.
And that's the other thing too. I would just make sure that if you're going to use your own phone, it's clean. The screen is clean because if it is oil or whatever, the gimmick could get caught on the thing. So even if you borrow a phone, you go, hey, I want to do this something really cool with your screen. Don't worry, and then you can just clean it off with your shirt or whatever. But make sure the screen is clean too, because then you'll have much better access to getting the coin to slide around on the phone there. Yeah. So that's about it for me. Any last thoughts from you guys on?
Great ideas, great tricks.
Awesome tricks.
Good stuff.
This is so cool.
Cool. All right. Well, guys, that is everything we have for Capture. I'm sure you'll have some other thoughts and ideas. Don't hesitate to reach out and share them with us. We're always trying to figure out what you guys are doing with stuff too, because you have ideas that three of us might not have ever thought of.
Yeah, of course.
And I would like to thank Mark Calabrese for hooking me up with some great ideas and hanging out with you guys. Jesse Feinberg for his great addition.
Thanks, man.
Bonus effect there.
Thank you.
Had a blast. Of course, thank you guys for buying Capture and supporting Magic, because to be honest, this is how we make our living. We create magic, we sell it, and you guys are the buyers, and pirating doesn't help. Doesn't help the cause. So remember that if you share magic illegally, you're taking money out of his pocket, my pocket, and his pocket, and come on. Look at us.
Yeah, we really appreciate the
I have
support.
14 children, okay? All 14 children need to eat. And if you take money out of my pocket, my 14 children
We'll go hungry.
will go hungry.
And we really do want to keep creating magic. And
14 children.
yeah, and that's a lot of magic you have to create to support 14
lot.
children. Yeah. But really, though, thanks for supporting Magic, what we do, because that's the only way we're going to progress in an industry where secrets are what everything's really based around. So thank you for supporting this DVD, this project, and any of our work. And also a big shout out to Chris Angel for supporting the whole project. This product, among other things you're going to be seeing from the Chris Angel Presents brand. Very exciting stuff coming out, and we want to thank Chris for his time and for allowing us to use such a great facility. Also, our great people behind the scenes, Bob Massey and Luke Bourgeois. They hooked all this up. They are the men behind the scenes that make this happen, so we want to thank them too. And that's about it from us. So thank you so much for supporting Capture. We'll catch you next time.